Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today for the CPS Educators Forum. I am Liz Perez, the CPS advocate on the National Child Passenger Safety Board. It is my honor to serve as the moderator for today's CPS Educator Forum. Today, we are joined by current National Child Passenger Safety Board members Britney Lombard and Marie Snodgrass, as well as past National Child Passenger Safety Board member Mandi Seethaler. We have planned time for questions at the end, so please enter them in the Q&A box. And as a reminder, we want to make sure that attendees do not participate in this webinar if you are operating a motor vehicle. The webinar will be recorded, and you can listen to the recording when you safely arrive to your destination. The recording will be posted to the Child Passenger Safety Learning Portal at carseateducation.org within 1 to 2 business days. For the Child Passenger Safety Technicians in attendance, the presentation qualifies for community education. Keep in mind, it does not count as a CEU. So please join me in welcoming Britney, Marie, and Mandi.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm going to kick us off. Thank you, Kendra, for helping me with my slides today. I sure appreciate it. So, hello, everyone. My name is Mandi Seethaler. I'm the Alaska Highway Safety Office Statewide Child Passenger Safety Coordinator and the Deputy Director for the Center for Safe Alaskans. I'm a past National Child Passenger Safety Board member, and I've been a child passenger safety instructor for about 14 years. So, next slide. So today we're going to talk about what we can do beyond a newsletter in our outreach efforts. And everyone, and you don't have to be a technician or an instructor, has the support of their state coordinator. There are several current and past board members who are coordinators, and they are here to help you. So at its core, the job of a CPS coordinator or a state coordinator is all about communication and connection. So technician engagement and our CPS programs go when we build a two-way connection, when we listen to what technicians need, when we support outreach efforts in communities, when we share resources in real time, and all that we can do to help remove barriers to events and education. And the coordinator role can be a piece of the puzzle in helping you succeed in your outreach beyond the newsletter. Next slide. Excuse me. So let's start talking about where to find your state CPS coordinator, because sometimes the biggest barrier is simply not knowing who to contact or maybe what they're called. So depending on the state, your coordinator might go by a few different titles. You could hear statewide CPS coordinator, CPS state coordinator, occupant protection coordinator, OP coordinator, state training contact. So even if you don't see the exact wording you're used to, you have one of these in your state. So the easiest place to find your coordinator is through the NHTSA Training Contacts by State page. And I did a quick little screenshot here. And then I added a QR code so you could get there quickly if you wanted to. But right now you want to stay here, right? Because we want to chat. So you can find, let's go back. You can find the name, their contact information. Keep in mind, the list isn't always updated. People come and go with their jobs, but we do our very best. And there are a few open positions. But if you can't find your person, give me a call. I'll help you out. We'll figure out who to talk to. So this is a great resource for technicians, instructors, even community partners, anyone that needs help connecting with training opportunities, outreach support, or CPS resources in their area. Your coordinator is there to support you. And if you don't have one, any member of the National Child Passenger Safety Board and past members will give you some help. All right, so next slide. So on this slide, we've got a screenshot from the National Child Passenger Safety Board website. And this page gives you a helpful overview of what the state CPS coordinator role can look like across the country. And I want to emphasize the word can, because every state is structured a little differently. Some coordinators are housed directly in the Highway Safety Office, some are in partner agencies, and some roles are shared. But overall, the purpose is generally the same. So when you visit the page and look at the bulleted list, you're going to notice there's a theme. The coordinator role is built around being a point of connection between technicians, instructors, community partners, and the caregivers we're all trying to reach. So the CPS coordinator role could include things like connecting the public to CPS resources, trainings, technicians, inspection stations, car seat distribution programs, online trainings like Car Seat Basics, the state's CPS homepage, handouts like a RAC card, and links to presentations. It could include things like just answering questions. Maybe you have an FAQ list somewhere. Hopefully, there's a lot of support and mentoring for technicians, procties, instructors, a lot of support with certification, recertification. It's also a way of keeping CPS community partners informed about updates, outreach, activities, sharing timely information like recalls, webinars. Their role could also include strengthening relationships and partnerships. It's a way for us to network and get to know each other. It's also a role that helps community leaders identify other CPS contacts and technicians and instructors. And a CPS coordinator can be a link to recertification resources, where to find CEUs, what's happening with the statewide CPS conference. They're also a person that can share data. So we want to share and reinforce that the point of today's session is that the coordinator role is bigger than sending out a newsletter. It's meant to help you, and it's meant to help you build a stronger network, make technicians feel supported and connected. Outreach shouldn't fall on just one person alone. So as we move into this discussion, I'd love for you to think about this. What kind of coordinator support would make outreach easier for you? All right, next slide. So on that same page on the National Child Passenger Safety Board website, there's actually a download. It's a 4-page document, and these are a few of the core responsibilities of a CPS coordinator. These are suggestions. Everybody, again, is put together a little bit differently. But the state CPS coordinator or CPS coordinator, however you want to call it, serves as one of the points of contacts for CPS programs in your state. That means we're often the connectors between caregivers, technicians, instructors, partners, and the Highway Safety Office. And a big role is supporting the public by helping connect families with resources. Coordinators should also provide lists of technicians and instructors, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. And again, their primary role is to build relationships, cultivate cooperative partnerships, and support CPS networks statewide. So when we talk about engagement beyond the newsletter, this is exactly why the coordinator role is built to be a resource for you, a connector, a support system, so you don't have to do research or outreach alone. Next slide. So, well, a super simple slide. This is actually the biggest parts of the CPS coordinator role, communication. And it's not just sending information out. It's being a connector. It's being a resource. We help answer questions about state law, not only for caregivers, but for technicians. Maybe you need a little discussion about it. Maybe you need to understand how it's written or where to find it. A key piece is keeping everyone informed. So sharing state updates, changes in law, updates and recommendations, recalls, new webinars that are available. And here's the important part about that. All of that should be in your newsletter, right? You want to put it down on paper somewhere. You want to share it out. But if we're being honest, we can't stop at the newsletter. A newsletter is a great tool, but it's one-way communication. So our engagement happens when we pair the newsletter with a real connection, a follow-up, a conversation, some sort of outreach support to build that relationship. And the other piece is this: the newsletter has to be well written or people aren't going to read it. So even if you put all this information, if it's a great big narrative, you may not reach exactly how you're supposed to. And now we have a great tool. We've got some AI. So if you are a little too brief, it can help you build that up a little. If you're a little too wordy, maybe it can help you create some bullet points. So there are a few best practices with your newsletter and with your communication in general. So you want to use clear, specific subject lines. Why should people open it? Why should they read this? Keep it scannable, short sections, bulleted points. You're going to lead with the most important information. Hey, our state conference is happening on X day. We want you to come. Don't bury the need to know. Include some simple calls to action: register, reply, share, sign up. What should people do next? And consistency and predictability. When is that coming out? Is it at the first of every month, the end of every quarter? So yes, the newsletters matter. Communication matters. But today's conversation is what we can do beyond the newsletter to keep technicians engaged, supported, and connected. Next slide. So sometimes the simplest tool is the most powerful, a calendar. If we want strong CPS programs, we have to meet people in person. There's some great virtual options, but the majority of our work is face to face. That's how we learn from each other, we build confidence, we share best practices, and we make our events more successful. It also helps our technicians get what they need from recertification, including hands-on opportunities and seat sign-offs. But here's the challenge. We can't keep calling the same people every time. We have to have our go-to technicians, and we love them, we appreciate them. But if we rely on the same few people, we're going to burn them out and we're going to miss some opportunities for growth. So yes, add your events to the newsletter. That should always, always happen, but we have to do more than that. And this is where outreach becomes personal. We should invite technicians directly, send a text, make a phone call. Some people will come if they feel personally welcomed, not just informed. Think about that for a minute. Personally welcomed, not just informed. Hey, here's an event. No, we're having a car seat event. We'd love for you to come. And some technicians are really looking for a way in. They're looking for that personal invite. They would enjoy being part of a CPS friends group. They want that invitation, but they really need to feel that it's a real information or a real invitation, not just information. So one of the easiest ways to do this is to ask your CPS coordinator to help list your events on a statewide calendar. Make sure that it's visible, it's centralized, it's easy for technicians across the state to find opportunities, especially those that need sign-offs or want to volunteer for an event. For some of us that live in rural areas, if you've got business in the big city, is there an event going on where you can take care of this at the same time? So a centralized calendar is really crucial. And when we invite technicians to attend, we can remind them that, hey, this is an opportunity to get your seat sign-offs. You can connect with instructors. You can work with a mentor if you need a little extra help, if you need some assistance. So don't overthink it. You don't have to submit a resume to come. You just have to come. We'll support you. We'll mentor you. It'll be some opportunity for growth or some sign-offs if you're ready for that. And don't forget the public promotion. A calendar isn't just for us. It isn't just for our technicians. It's also a tool for families or for agencies that are constantly referring families. They need to know where to get that information. So we can highlight events. Again, mark your calendar for Seat Check Saturday. It's here. But make sure that people know where to go so they can connect in person. All right, next slide. So CPS coordinators have access to the list of technicians in their state, technicians, instructors, etc., through the Safe Kids system. And this is just a screenshot how we can do a little search. It is a really, really strong tool, and coordinators play a huge role in sharing these lists. So, sometimes you're hesitant. It's like, ooh, should I share this information? As a technician and not a coordinator, you can go in and look up individuals. You can find someone in your area. We can use the Find a Tech. So it's not private information. So I would encourage every state coordinator to share this list and share it often. Are there new technicians in someone's area? When do your technicians expire? Does someone want to help? Do they want to mentor? Please share the list. And if you need the list, reach out to your state coordinator and say, hey, I'm looking for new technicians. Is there someone that's just certified in my area? Are there instructors that would be willing to travel to my area? And by the way, is there any funding to help that? Who can help me do this? Are there technician proxies? It is vital that we share this information. Who are the technicians in our state? Who are the instructors? Who are the technician proxies? And how do we connect everyone? Please share the list. Please ask for the list. At the end of the day, coordinators aren't meant to be the only point of contact. They're meant to help strengthen the network and support collaboration. And we connect people to each other, we build a lot of momentum, and we can make our outreach more successful. Next slide. Another tool that can support engagement is the National Digital Check Form and the data that comes from that. So every statewide CPS coordinator has access to their state's NDCF data. You have access to your own data and to your program's data if you're the program lead, but the state coordinator can share that. So if you're writing a report, if you're looking for justification to help, show that your time is valuable, if you're looking for that, please reach out and connect about those. In order to have access to the information, you do have to be verified as the NHTSA training contact. And if your state hasn't updated the website yet, we can help with that. We can connect you with the right people. This is important because the data isn't just numbers. It's a way to show impact. It's a way to tell the story. It's a win for everyone. So when it connects back to engagement, when technicians can actually see the impact of their work, they can see that all these events matter, They can see what's happening. They can see what the common issues are. It matters. So using this information, connecting with each other is a big deal. So the takeaway here is simple. Data should be shared, not in a way that creates extra work, but in a way that supports the field, like sharing highlights in the newsletter, celebrating milestones, identifying trends, and just a way to strengthen our outreach. What do we need to talk about? So when we share the story behind the data, we make it easier for everyone to have a more effective CPS program, and we work stronger together. All right, last slide. So I encourage you to do more than send a newsletter. Connect with your CPS coordinator so they can help you. When I started on the National Child Passenger Safety Board, we started calling every coordinator and asking them to nominate someone from their state for the CPS awards, for the technician, the instructor, the team, or someone for every category. And we also shared the open positions on the board. Who's interested? We really wanted to be collaborative. We wanted to make sure that the CPS community knows that the awards matter, that we want to recognize deserving candidates. But this helped us build relationships. And the first year that we made the phone calls, you don't ever get everybody to answer the phone, but the number of nominations increased. People felt valued because we really care. We really wanted to know who was doing the amazing work out in the community. I built new relationships. It was really exciting. And I would like to build a relationship with every one of you. So down in the bottom, it's a little bit in gray because that's not the whole point of this. I did include my cell phone number. You can call or text at any time, and I included my email because I am here to support you, just like your CPS coordinator. And together we can go beyond the newsletter. Thank you. I will turn it over to
Marie.
Marie. All right.
All right. Can you see my screen? Oh, everybody's muted.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thanks. I just needed somebody. I couldn't hear anybody nodding, so I wasn't sure. All right. Well, hello. I'm gonna actually try to find myself here so you can see my face. There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. I am, it's funny, we met a few times to talk about this, and there you're going to see some definite overlap. So clearly, Mandy and I, and probably Brittany as well, share a bit of a brain. So there's going to be some stuff that is going to repeat itself a little bit, but we are currently working on the chat. We just found out that the chat is disabled. We thought it was it's kind of torture when we ask you questions and then we don't have the ability for you to answer. So we apologize for that. We know the Q&A is available, so you can put
And sorry,
questions.
Marie, the chat is open now.
Oh, the chat is open now. So we did get that fixed. Okay, we were trying to figure that out. So it's kind of like when the dentist asks you questions when they're working in your mouth and you can't answer. That's what we just did to you guys. So feel free to use the chat, answer questions, ask questions, and we will try to kind of real time make this, a back and forth. So, ideally, honestly, when we were talking, we said if you wanted to start kind of running the show and we didn't have to even use any of our slides, that would be awesome. So if there's chat, comments or topics, those of you watching the chat from our team, let me know if there's things that you think that, we should address right away or, ways that we should go. But I'm just going to go ahead and start my presentation and see where we go from here. As soon as I can get all my screens going. So I am going to talk a little bit about also about engaging technicians and different ways of engaging technicians in the community. I am not a state coordinator, but I do oversee an injury prevention program at a large children's hospital. And I guess I kind of consider myself more of like a regional coordinator, maybe not really in the state per se. I work with our state coordinator on some different committees. And in our region, I feel like I do help kind of organize and run some, events. We do a lot in our area and in our like larger community. And so I feel like there are opportunities for those of us who aren't state coordinators to still be leaders and to still mentor technicians and to still, engage new technicians, other technicians that are maybe looking for ways to get involved. We don't have to always rely on the state coordinators. And so, love loved that Mandy shared all that she did, because there's a lot that I think every state is a little bit different and runs things a little bit different, but it's so good to know what resources are out there. And for those of us that don't have a Mandy maybe in our state, it's nice to know maybe that we could ask for some of those things, or that there are resources that are available to us. So we thought it was a great way to start this presentation today, is kind of learning a little bit more about the state coordinating that is out there, and different resources that we have. But from somebody who's not a state coordinator, who's also trying to lead and get people engaged and get people involved, and then keep people involved after we teach classes and in and around the state, I wanted to share some of the things that I'm doing and that we're doing as a group in my area. And so in starting this out and really thinking about it, I kind of wanted to go back to the beginning when we all kind of got maybe bit by the bug or got involved in child passenger safety, and think about like, what's your why? Like what got you involved? Because I think if we were to question everybody, we all have different reasons for getting involved, right? When we sat in that classroom and we went around and we heard from introductions from everybody in our CPS classes, if it was last year, the year before, or for me, 20 some years ago, for Lou Moquin, it was when they were still writing on, stone tablets. It was a long time ago. He only has a couple numbers in his technician number. And he's on the call, so I know I can say this and tease him because he's here somewhere. But I think that everybody has a different reason, right? And maybe it was, you had a really small baby and it just scared you, and you wanted to know like what it was that you needed to know to keep your baby safe. Maybe you were in a horrible crash, or you knew somebody that was in a horrible crash, and it changed your life forever, and you wanted to know everything you could about how to keep your loved ones safe, and everybody else out there. Maybe you took your little one to a seat check, and you were so like just amazed by the people that were strangers that were there and cared so much about, excuse me, how to keep your child safe, and you thought, oh my God, what an amazing way to give back, and I want to do this. Maybe you were one of those people in class that said you were voluntold. Maybe your employer said they needed somebody to fill this role and wanted to bring somebody on staff, and guess what? You're the person. So I know this says we need volunteers, but maybe you were told that you were the volunteer. You were the person who's going to be that person in your agency or your organization. Maybe you do it because it's part of your job. You get a paycheck to do this. You're getting paid to sit on this webinar today. We all have different things that motivate us, right? Who knows what it is? But we all have different things that have different reasons for what brought us to the table. And I think we have to keep that in mind, because the reality is some people do this because it's part of their job. So to do things above and beyond maybe isn't as reasonable for some people based on their family situation and their other commitments that they have. Some people do this because their boss is making them do this, and they maybe weren't really so sure they wanted to do this. And some people do this because it is just such a passion that they are like so passionate about safety, and they're so passionate about car seats that yes, 25 years later, after taking their course, they still walk into a Target or whatever, big box store that still has car seats, and the first thing they want to do as they're walking down the aisle is maybe take a little detour down the car seat aisle because they want to see what the new seats are that are out there, and play with the new Kiko, Britax, Graco seat, whatever is on the shelf. So who knows what it is, but we have to keep in mind that what motivated me, or what motivates me, what motivates Mandy, what motivates Liz, Brittany, like we all have something different maybe, and we have to keep that in mind. Okay. So I just want to set our mindset, kind of make sure we're all keeping that in mind as we kind of go through this. But at the same time, I want to also remember that we have this same goal, right? We want to bring ourselves together for a common good, a common cause. So even though we maybe didn't come here for the same reason, we want to keep kiddos safe. We want to teach caregivers how to keep their children safe. We want children to be riding safe every time they're in the car, and their parents and their caregivers as well. So we have to bring ourselves all together and figure out how to do that. So our teams of child passenger safety technicians and instructors, we have to figure out how to engage each other, how to engage new people, how to keep the older, more seasoned people engaged, how to bring all of these different types of people together and keep us working together for this common good, right? So yes, kind of going back to what I said about Mandy and I sharing the same brain. We said beyond the newsletters, but then as we were meeting, we realized we were a little bit hypocritical when we were talking about this because all three of us have sent out newsletters. Maybe we still do. So newsletters can serve a purpose. It shouldn't maybe be the only way we're communicating, and it's not probably meeting everybody's needs, and it's not the only way we should be reaching our technicians. But if we are sending out newsletters, we want to make sure we're sending out newsletters the right way and we understand maybe the purpose that they are serving. So we want to make sure that we understand kind of who they're reaching and how they're reaching them. And they're probably not reaching everybody that we think that they are, and they're not serving like the purpose maybe that we hope that they are. The couple of examples that I have on this slide with the newsletters, a couple of them are the newsletters that we have sent out over the years that we send out to our technicians, and we send them out. We have a list that we put together every time somebody goes through one of our courses, or the instructors that we work with, they'll let us know if they have somebody even on the other part of our state that takes a technician course, becomes certified, and then what they'll do is say, hey, I had somebody in my class that is actually more in your area, so I wanted to give you their information so that you could try to get them engaged and try to get them pulled into some of your events and some of your stuff that you're doing. So we immediately try to reach out to them and get them on our list, and send them a quick little email and let them know that this is what we do every month. We're running events. This is how you sign up. This is how you know what's going on. We're going to put you on our email listserv, that kind of thing, and that's how we share out our information. Then there's also this amazing newsletter that goes out from the state of Alaska to their technicians, and I was in awe when I got a copy of this. I thought this was amazing. And so Mandy's email, not gonna lie, is quite impressive. Yes, I'm gonna share a little bit about Mandy's email here and her newsletter here that she sends out, because I think it's really quite there's a lot of things in her email that I was super impressed with, and I wanted to share those with everybody. It's not maybe the clearest though, so I just wanted to highlight a couple things because it was a long email and it was sent out through MailChimp. So clearly Mandy's able to see, collect some data from this. So she's able to see who it's reaching, and get some data as far as, Mandy, I guess you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you can probably see who, is actually reading the newsletters and
Yeah.
probably even how long they're spending on your newsletters. Is that correct?
Yes, MailChimp gives you a lot of data. Sometimes you're like, oh, I wish more people would read it. But yes, you can tell.
Yeah, how awesome is that? I think that's really impressive. We just send out a PDF that we create on Canva, which is lovely. And it's attention getting, and it's try to make it pretty and all that. But right here at the very beginning of Mandy's newsletter, through MailChimp, they're able to put in right away, it's addressed to Mandy, and this one is, and it tells, her when her certification date is up, and then it gives her all the information and kind of all the links that she's going to need for recertification. So every month, it goes out to her technicians, and it's specific to each technician with their information about when they need to recertify, and all the things that they need to do to recertify. So I'm sure she has no technicians in her state that say they just forgot and didn't recertify. How amazing is that? Probably that's not true, but I'm sure that helps a ton with a lot of those people that just kind of forget, and maybe don't know how to go about, especially that first time, don't know how to go about that recertification. To have all of that information right there is absolutely amazing. I am so impressed by that. I also love that a little bit further down, she includes all of the training portal links, the link to all of the different trainings that are coming up. Like this one specifically is through Safe Kids, but it has all of the links for the each month for all the different trainings that are going to be going on. And these are all CEU worthy. So this is going to help anybody. I mean, the, they can get all their CEUs just by, all the information that's clearly listed in this one newsletter, which I think is amazing. Um, Also, there was some great information about the new prenatal vehicle safety endorsement, which I think is super exciting, which we're all very excited about. And it gives the link for that. There's this useful tool that Dorel has out there about their seats. Just some great information here. And I love that there's links for everything. So it puts everything right at the technician's like fingertips. So they have all of the links and things that they need. And then at the end, I think this is really cool, but I'm also a data geek. And I think that this is really cool because as a technician, I would love to see this. I would love to know that like I'm helping contribute to like, like where we're at and what's going on. And like, oh, we're kind of a little bit lower than we should be. Like we need to work on this a little bit more. And especially if I'm somebody who's helping coordinate events, like I might look at this and go, I need to help figure out what we can do to get more people out there. Like how do I, as an instructor, make sure that I'm really driving home, like the recertification rates and how do I reach out to the people in my area? So this is something that I would do. Remember, I'm not a state coordinator, but this is something that would help drive me and help me make sure that I am not, forgetting that whole piece that I play as an instructor and as a mentor and keeping my technicians in my area recertified. So I love that all of this is available in their newsletter. So her newsletter serves a huge purpose. And it's not just come to this one event that we're having and, hope you can be there. I need volunteers to help me, kind of thing. It really is a valuable resource for her technicians. So I think that this is amazing. So I didn't know that this was going to end up being a commercial for Alaska, but it kind of ended up being a little bit of a commercial for Alaska Child Passenger Safety. But I was just really impressed by this. So I just wanted to share. If you're doing newsletters, I think this is a great, there's some great things that we all can learn. And I kind of want to amp up my own just because I'm that kind of person and I want to be cool like Mandi.
Can I give one quick shout out to Aubrey Click? She's the one that introduced me to MailChimp. She has a phenomenal newsletter. So we all learn from each other.
She's in Delaware, right?
She is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen her newsletter as well. Yeah. I think it is also a great newsletter. Yeah. MailChimp has a lot of really cool features for following up and being able to get the data and kind of see who's reading, how many people are opening the newsletters, how long they're spending in it, so it's kind of eye-opening because sometimes it's not as great as you want it to be. But it at least tells you like if you're spending all of this time, like, kind of gives you the return on your investment, right? It tells you like how if it's really worth all of the time that you're spending. And then if not, like, do we need to pivot? And is there some other way that we need to be looking at, reaching our technicians? So yeah, just to kind of piggyback on some of the things that my shared brain person already said, when you're doing your newsletter, know your audience, right? Know who it is you're trying to reach and have the tools and the resources there for them. Bullet your items, try not to make it super wordy, personalize it as much as possible. We try to highlight our volunteers as much as possible. And sometimes it's so-and-so had a new baby or got a new job, and we ask for their permission, but we want to make it personal. We want to make it so that our technicians feel like they're valued as people and not just like somebody that we're begging to work every month and we're just like that's the only reason why we care about them. So we really want to make sure that the people that are helping us like understand that we really value them as people, and so we really try to highlight as much as possible. And we want to make sure that they're very accessible to all types of readers, all types of learners. We really focus a lot in our group and our agency at our hospital about plain language. We want to make sure that, that everything is written in a very clear way. We try really hard. It gets difficult sometimes because we have our own lingo, right? We have our own language. And new technicians might still be a little bit iffy about some of that stuff. And not understand some of the terms. And as soon as we start putting in all of this, like these acronyms and all of these terms that are like, I don't remember what that is, they're less likely to read it, right? They're less likely to open it because they feel like it's, I don't know, I don't remember this. Okay, maybe I'll do it later, or I don't know, this is just not me right now. And they're less likely to get drawn in by it. So we need to try to keep everything at a level that everybody can kind of understand and appreciate and get something from. And I said the links are like, so I actually had all of this done before I looked at Mandy's email. So like her email with her newsletter, like just fit perfectly into all of my thoughts about newsletters. So, and then be consistent. If you're going to send it out regularly so that technicians know they can count on it. They know that it's coming. They know that the information that they need is going to be there. And then again, beyond the newsletters. So what do we do to keep people involved? What do we do to keep technicians? What do we do? Um, we're working really hard to be good mentors for everyone. I look for good mentors for me. I've been doing this for almost 26 years now, and I'm not above having somebody check seats before they pull out. I still want a senior checker looking at my seats, and I've been an instructor for I don't even for half of that time. And so I'm not above having an extra set of eyes looking at the seats that I've just educated on and that I'm sending out of an event. I look for people to help mentor me. I learn from people every single time I work with somebody. And so I think it's super important to make sure that we're mentoring and doing the best that we can to lead by example and to help wherever we can. And so by offering support, we're helping people build skills, achieve goals, maybe. I kind of liken it to I'm also in another role in my life. I'm actually a referee. And so I go into each season or sometimes just each game that I referee and I'm like, what do I want to work on today? And I've kind of taken some of those attributes and I bring them to the world of CPS and I say, like sometimes when I'm working with somebody new, I'm like, I recently worked this fall with somebody who was about 2 weeks out of class. And I said, okay, it was his first time coming to an event. I said, I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be awesome. You could tell he was really nervous. And I said, so what do you want to work on? Like coming out of class, there's so many things, right? And I'm going to be right here with you all day. Like you're not going to be on your own. And I'm going to do the digital form with you, so you don't have to worry about this. I'm going to ask you questions. We're going to walk through it. I'll keep the iPad with me. You don't have to deal with that. You just get to interact with the parent. But is there anything specific that you feel like you're a little unsure about or that you really want to work on? And I can't remember what he had, but he's like, in class, the one thing, and he had something that he really wanted to, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but he was a little uneasy about how to explain something. And I was like, I just said, that is perfect. Then that's what we're going to work on today. Do you want me to kind of walk through it with the first parent and you can kind of hear how I do it? Not going to be the way that you have to do it, but just to kind of hear how I address that. And so that's what we did. And then for the rest of the day, he did it, but he did it in his own way. And then he got more and more confident and stronger as the day went on. But I didn't have to we didn't have to work on every single skill and every single thing. We just kind of piggybacked off each other all day. And I just didn't want him to feel overwhelmed. I wanted him to feel supported and I wanted him to feel like he could do this and that he could come back and get supported no matter what we were doing, where we were at. And it was an amazing day. And his skills were actually phenomenal. He did great. He just needed a little confidence. He just needed to get out there and feel like he could do this. So it was that whole, non-judgmental, just trying to support him, to foster growth, self-esteem. I highlighted some of these words, but it was exactly that kind of a day for him. And I was so excited that I got to work with him. He's the only firefighter in a very small station that is right across the street from this very low income housing complex that we have in our area. So I know he's gonna have the opportunity to be quite busy and for us to do some partnering with him. So I think he's going to be key to our community. So we've got to find a way to keep him liking and hopefully loving what he's doing and keep him engaged. So hoping that experience, was a good first experience for him and that we can keep building on that. And those are the things that we want to do as mentors. And any one of us can be a mentor. We don't have to be an instructor. We don't have to be a state coordinator. We don't have to be heading up a program at a hospital, anybody can help mentor somebody just by doing just these things. Just some bullet points on mentor, like the roles of mentors, and we have mentors in all aspects of our life, right? Personally, professionally, but basically, we just have to remember we're here to support people. We all have ways that we've done things and that we found that work for us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to work for everybody, right? The way that I address a parent and the spiel that I kind of have isn't the same spiel that Brittany has with the parents that she works with necessarily, the caregivers that she meets with. That doesn't make my way wrong. It doesn't make her way wrong. It just makes it different, right? And I might listen to her and go, "Oh, I love the way you said that." I might start saying that too. I really love the way that you approached that with that family. We always can learn from other people. So we should never make it be about like, this is the only way we can do it. This is the only way that it should be done. We have to learn to really be able to support people where they're at, not just the caregivers, but the other instructors or the other people that are instructing or educating as well. So I think it's really important if we're trying to build trust with these people and we're trying to be supportive, that we support them where they're at. Now, obviously, we can't let them do something that's completely wrong, or we can't have anybody missing a big important piece. But there's ways of addressing that, right? You can do that. I always call it a compliment sandwich, that you did a really great job. I loved the way you did this. The one thing I think we could work on is this. I think that maybe if we could focus a little bit more on doing addressing this little piece with a parent, I think that would help a little bit. But you did a great job again with this, and I also loved the way you did this. So I started with something positive, I ended with something positive, but in the middle, I made sure I addressed that one piece that I felt like, we really needed to do something about that. Now, and if there was a in the middle, more than likely I stepped in and I kind of helped direct or correct that. But I want to do it in a way that kind of is more of a guide and more of a being more of a role model and meant like modeling for them, and not like coming in and correcting, oh no, that's wrong. I'm never going to try to do that in front of a parent, because I don't want to make somebody feel bad about themselves, and I don't want the parent to go like, what's going on here? You don't want the parent to be uncomfortable either. And so just really quick to kind of wrap up, how we mentor, like some of the things that we do with new technicians is we try to connect with them as quickly as possible out of class. We get them added to our email list. We try to offer opportunities for them to come to events that we're holding, and we make it really clear. You can shadow and work with somebody who's, a seasoned technician or instructor, at our community events. We're not going to throw you to the wolves. We actually try to make it so that we have two people on every cart, if at all possible, when we do our events, so that we can have somebody help, maybe working with the iPad and doing the digital form, while the other person is doing the education. So we try to have like two people whenever possible. Doesn't always work, but we really try very hard to do it. And if it's somebody new, we always try to make sure that they're with somebody else. Again, we look to see what their skills are, try to learn about where they're at with their skills, and try to figure out like, what are you working on? What is it that you feel like you could, use some support with? How can we best help you? Our events right now are being held currently because of staffing and some issues and different things like that. Our events are all held during the workday. And so if we do like a late morning, early afternoon, we try to provide food or lunch or something, snacks for our volunteers. Just show them that we appreciate them. So if you've got the ability to feed people, that always goes a long way. Food is a good incentive. And we always have an instructor or a proxy at every one of our events, so that if there are sign-off opportunities available, that we have somebody there to do that. And we also will ask people, like in our email that goes out with our newsletters, that if they need sign-offs, to let us know if they're coming to an event that they need sign-offs, so that we can be intentional about how many people we have there. And if like 4 people are coming for sign-offs, we would have to tell them that we don't have enough people to do sign-offs maybe at that event, and try to figure out how best to support. But we try to make it so that we can do sign-offs at every single event. And the people that are there, the instructors and the proxies that are there, like they're really good about, they're so good. Like they'll sit there, because we do have 2 people on most vehicles. At the end, sometimes they'll say, "You did phenomenally. I'm going to give you a sign-off for that, because you were like that beginning to end. I was right here with you and you covered absolutely everything. And how great is that for someone that wasn't even thinking about it? They weren't like under all that pressure, like thinking I'm trying to get a sign off and I don't want to mess up. Like they just naturally went through an entire interaction and then had an instructor say, "You did such a great job. Do you need a sign off for a convertible seat? Because I'm happy to give you one for that interaction you just had with that caregiver because you hit everything on the mark." And so I love hearing that, and I love seeing somebody light up and go, "Oh my God, that's amazing! Thank you so much. Yeah, I do. That would be great." So those opportunities go a long way too. And so again, not all of us were born to do this or knew coming out of the womb that we were going to be child passenger safety technicians. But we still all are on the same team and we're all still doing what we need to do to keep kids safe, right? And just to share with you, just to end, these are my whys. Um, and so that was in 2006, and here they are in 2025. So kept them alive so far. They're doing good. So I am done and I am going to stop sharing and let Brittany take over. Unless anybody had any questions or thoughts for me, but or we wait until the end. It's so weird doing a webinar and not seeing people's faces because I mean, for all I know, there's nobody at this party or you all fell asleep. I'm not really sure.
Everyone's at the party. I am
Okay,
going
good.
to share my slides. Okay. Hopefully that's working for everyone. All right. So, newsletter is a great way to disseminate information, but it doesn't actually necessarily get folks out doing the work in the field. So as a technician, what gets you out and what gets you to do the work? Because that is obviously the important piece of the puzzle. So I really wanted to talk about the value of being vehicle side. We live and work primarily in a virtual world today. I work from my desk in my house 40 hours a week, so I don't leave my house most days. I think that's true for a lot of people. COVID shifted the landscape of the world. It shifted it for caregivers who also want to be primarily virtual, and that shifted child passenger safety over the past few years. But I really want to encourage technicians, especially new technicians, but really all technicians, don't dismiss the value of in-person child passenger safety work. There are so many reasons to prioritize getting out and working vehicle side. It's really, really valuable. The first reason, of course, importantly, is to getting a breadth of experience with your technical skills, learning different seats and different vehicles. So, for example, I see a lot of times people are trying to virtually help a family to figure out a tight 3 across scenario. And virtually, you can look at an image of the back seat of the vehicle. You can crunch numbers and learn how many inches across that a car seat is. You can measure it, right? And you can add all of those 3 numbers together and you can ask other technicians if they have experience. And that can help and you can come up with some ideas, but there is nothing as valuable as putting your hands on the seats and feeling how slippery the leather is and seeing how the short buckle stock is and if the booster rider can actually reach down there and buckle. There is nothing as valuable as getting your hands in those cars and seeing how that is. So that in terms of a technical skill, I think it's really valuable to get your hands in as many cars and on as many seats in person as possible. It's just that kinesthetic experience is so much different than just memorizing manuals and statistics and working in a virtual landscape. The other thing that is really important, and Marie touched on this as well, is that practice in communication and in-person communication in this work is so very different than virtual communication. First of all, when you're in person, there's no backspace button, there's no delete button. You have to be able to communicate in real time. That means you have to be really intentional on your word choice and how you speak with families. And that takes practice. And the only way to get practice is by doing the work. These communication skills, to be frank, might even be more important then memorizing those stats about those seats or knowing each feature and each weight limit off the top of your head. And when you talk about being an impactful educator, it doesn't just mean knowing how to say things in a way that makes sense and is technically accurate. It also means being able to understand what motivates a caregiver to make a behavioral change. It also means being able to tailor your education to each individual caregiver and be able to shift on the fly based on how they're responding. So when you're working virtually, you give a canned answer and you hope that the caregiver understands and responds to it. There's not a lot of back and forth engagement. You can't read their expression. When you're working with a caregiver in person, you can see that light bulb moment. So you understand when they are, you can read their feedback on their face, right? So you understand, okay, they know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you see a look of confusion and then you know, all right, I have to shift tactics. I have to try a different tactic here. So that is a really valuable experience in communication. It also is a good way to practice the flow of a seat check. What order do I say things in? How much information can I provide at a time? Where do I need to pause and take a break? Or, how much time is this whole experience going to take? And then I know for new techs, it is kind of a hurdle to getting into in-person seat checks. It can feel a lot different than maybe just answering questions one-off in a virtual setting. And I just want to encourage those folks to know that it's okay to stumble. It's okay to trip over your words. That is a thing that happens in a real seat check. There are times when we have to say, "Oh, let me put that another way," or "Hold on, that's not exactly what I meant to say." That is okay. It's also okay to not know. I think one of the biggest hurdles to working with a family vehicle side or in person is we're afraid of not looking like the experts or not knowing something. When we're working behind a screen, we can look things up. We can stop and we can read a manual and we can delete and we can retype things. When we're working in person, sometimes we don't know. It is okay to not know, and you can still be an expert and not know. When we do this work, we have a toolbox at our disposal. You don't have to have every tool in your toolbox to be the best at what you do. It is totally okay for us to say, you know what, I'm not sure on that. Here's how you contact the manufacturer to find that information. All of us do that. That is okay. That's part of an in-person seat check, and it's okay to not have those answers. So if anyone is afraid of getting out there and doing that in person, especially as a new technician, I just want to encourage you to just do it anyway, get that practice. If you are an experienced tech or you have an experience where you had that, where you at a seat check had to either step back and say, that's not what I meant to say, or you had to double back, let us know in the comments. It's happened to all of us. Marie also kind of mentioned this piece as well, but I think working in person really gives that opportunity for teamwork. Teamwork can look a lot of different ways, and it's not always a new tech learning from someone that's more experienced. A lot of times, some of the more experienced technicians or instructors learn from newer technicians. There are times where maybe we've forgotten something that we don't remember from when we first started, or we learn a new approach from somebody who's new. There are times when students in a class say something, and it gives us a different approach on how to try things. So it really is mutually beneficial to kind of pair up and team and work together to learn from each other. And that mentorship process can look a lot of different ways. You could just be sitting in a room and practice scenarios. I know Mandi said sometimes, those new techs, they are not ready to work in a car. So she'll just sit in a room with them and kind of do the learn, practice, educates from the curriculum. Hey, what are some different ways that we can explain this? And you just go through different concepts and talk about different ways that they can explain it. And that will help in those moments where maybe a caregiver is not understanding and you have to shift tactics. Then you have kind of an arsenal at your disposal of how you can say something. Maybe the technician wants to observe an entire seat check the way that Marie mentioned. Maybe they want to watch the whole thing. At this particular event from where this picture is from, the technicians, the newer technicians said to myself and another instructor, they said, we never know how to use a manual at a seat check. We feel really awkward pulling out the manual. And so we said, all right, well, watch us. We're going to show you exactly how we integrate the manual from start to end and the whole seat check. And so they watched us the whole way through how we integrate the manual, and then they were able to feel more confident doing that at their own seat checks. So teamwork can be really valuable in a lot of ways. And then finally, being in person and working with families really does help to make that emotional connection. And that is what brings people to recertify and stick with the work. I think, recertification rates, I don't know as a whole, somewhere around 50% on average. But we want people to recertify. We want them to continue doing the work. And those moments when you get to hear from a caregiver, I'm a really anxious parent and I was uncomfortable driving my child before, and now I feel really comfortable. I'm really comfortable driving them now. Those are the moments that build those emotional connections that really bring people back to doing the work. And if you are a new CPST or you don't actually have to be a new CPST, but I'm going to share my favorite actual trick for recruiting families to be in person with you. If this isn't your full-time job, or if you don't work at a fit station and people aren't finding you from the find a tech search, I know a lot of families want to work virtually. They don't want to come in person anymore. So what you're going to do, you're going to go to your friends, your neighbors, your families. You're not going to go to them and say, hey, I'm a CPST. I'd love to check your car seats. I can help you make sure your family is safe and that your car seats are installed properly. That's not what you're going to do. Instead, you're going to go to them and you're going to say, I need help from you. I need a favor. I am newly certified, or I'm just, I'm certified, and I need practice. I need help. I need to get my hands in different cars and car seats, and I need to practice my flow. I need to practice my communication. I need to practice filling out seat check forms. I love this method because it invites people that you know to help you. It takes sort of the pressure off of them to feel like they're doing something wrong. It kind of takes them off of the defensive a little bit, and it makes them more likely to actually come to you and go get a seat check, in my experience. So I love that trick. If you need people to come visit you for a seat check, it just kind of takes the pressure off of them, and hopefully that will help you get some in-person seat check experience. When it comes to seat check events, how do you find out about them in your state? Do you have a coordinator that has a calendar? Is someone emailing you? Is someone calling you to tell you about events? Are there lists that you can be on? Let us know. How do you find out about them? Seat check events don't happen in every state. When I lived in New York, we had huge seat check events where people would wait in line for 2 hours to get their seat check. In Colorado, we don't have events. People want one-on-one appointments. So how does that look for you? Sometimes if you want to go to a seat check event, you have to be proactive. The person coordinating the event may not be able to reach out to everyone. So you may have to reach out to your instructors, reach out to program coordinators or state coordinators to find out. Do you host your own events? If you do host those events, how do you advertise to technicians in your area? If you're recruiting techs, are you able to compensate them? I love the idea of being able to compensate everyone for this work. I wish that was possible all the time. It is not always possible. We are largely grant funded. This work is largely grant funded. Sometimes that has restrictions. Sometimes we can't pay people to do this work. A lot of times grant money is not plentiful and we have to save it for actual car seats, or we're limited in what we can spend it on. So if we cannot pay people for their time, how do we compensate them otherwise? Can we buy them snacks or food? Are we able to give them gift cards or t-shirts or mugs? Is there any way to compensate them for the work at all? Sometimes there's not. I wish there always was, but just things to think about if you're hosting those events. And then how are you getting families to events? I know in the CPS Coordinators Forum, there was a lot of different ways that the coordinators talked about to recruit families. Some of the good tips that I saw were to jump into those Facebook groups and get people that way. I know we're short on time, so if you have not hosted an event and you want to schedule an event, just know there is a resource on the cpsboard.org website that will kind of guide you through how to start a seat check event. And if that is not enough information for you, probably most everybody on the board would be happy to help guide you through that as well. And I will go ahead and stop there so we can chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. Thank you. So I just wanted to go ahead and let you know you're welcome to stay and chime in and have a conversation. But I know we are at the hour, so we're going to go ahead and just give you some closing announcements if you need to step away. All right, so before you go, again, just a couple of announcements. We are excited to announce that the in-person delivery format for Car Seat Basics and the mini courses in Spanish are ready to go. Any currently certified child passenger safety technician or instructor can teach this course. And to request the course materials, please visit cpsboard.org/trainings. We hope that you are enjoying these NCPSB educator forums because we are happy delivering them and we're having fun doing so. Our next CPS educator forum is in March and registration will be open soon. As you guys can see, next month we have our first Spanish National Child Passenger Safety Board webinar. This is for our Spanish-speaking CPSTs and instructors, and we hope you will be able to join us. Register today at cpsboard.org/webinars or scan the QR code on the screen. This Educators Forum will be posted to the Child Passenger Safety Learning Portal at carseateducation.org within 1 to 2 business days. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a safe day, and thank you all for helping the families, keeping them safe. Thank you so much for attending. If you're available to stick around, we'd love to have you join us. So we do have 2 questions that we had. Some of them were answered on the chat, but we do have some questions here in regards to the state coordinators. What do I do if our state coordinator doesn't attend meetings? What should I do?
Well, I'll jump in as a state coordinator. First, what kind of meetings are you talking about? Is it like a local team meeting? Is it a state meeting? What kind of meetings are you wanting them to attend with you?
This was from an anonymous attendee.
Okay.
If you are still online, we can definitely unmute you if you raise your hand. If you're still here, or if you prefer to use the chat, that's okay too. We can do that.
That's okay. And if you'd like to stay anonymous, that's okay too. What I would do is I would follow that invitation versus information. I'd reach out to them with a phone call, number one, and say, hey, here's the reasons why we'd like you to attend. As we talk about adult learning with the curriculum, we talk about people want to know the why. Why are you wanting me to be there? Are they nervous about it? Because they're going to get some hard questions, maybe giving them a preface of, hey, this is the meeting agenda. This is what we'd like to talk about. And then just following it up with a phone call. I think giving them the personal ask to come would be helpful. And then giving them an agenda and what they need to come prepared with would probably be super helpful. But I hope they'll attend.
Thank you, Mandy. Okay, this question I believe was for Mandy and Marie. Is your program grant funded? If so, how did you get the grant to fund the newsletter?
So I did put in the chat that I pay $20 a month for my MailChimp subscription. It is grant funded. We use it as a contractual cost, and we haven't had any problems with it. Marie, how about you guys? Do you pay for subscription?
We have Canva and we use it. That's the only thing we pay for, and we use it for our program. So we're not actually charging anything to a grant. And we do everything digitally. So we don't have anything that we're we're using like that. But I'm definitely looking into MailChimp when I get into the office tomorrow. So
And hey, anybody that wants to join my newsletter, I'd be happy to share it so you can copy it, use it. I'm a big fan of the bullet points.
Thank you, Mandy. Everyone thought your newsletter is incredible, so I'm sure you will be getting some requests there. Awesome.
And hey, a big shout out to the board. They always make content available. I update it every time with new newsletters, so and stuff like this. Hey, watch this webinar, like the one that Travis put on yesterday. We like to link to the updated stuff. Sorry, Liz.
No, you're all right. Thank you, Mandy. Now, we do have a quick question. Maybe, Kendra, you can let us know, is there an estimate time for when the Spanish online version of Car Seat Basics will be available?
Yes, we are busily working on it right now. It will go back to the translators for a final review next week. So hopefully by the end of next week, first week of February, I'm planning on having that out.
Great news. Thank you, Kendra. One more question, guys. Amber states, maybe this is a weird question, but who is responsible for mentoring techs in the state?
what's the
I
question?
will help answer that. I think any seasoned technician instructor, I think we're all educators, we're all mentors. If you want to take somebody under your wings, that's how like I was mentored by another instructor. It wasn't a state coordinator. In the perfect world of sunshine and rainbows, I think state coordinators are coordinating that and leading it, but I don't think that is their entire job. I think all of us as educators should be taking that on.
I was going to say the same, Kendra, and I
Yeah.
think the benefit of everybody taking a part in that is that we have better technicians in our community, and all of the families in our community are getting better information. So
Thank you, everyone. Those are all the questions that we have. Thank you for sticking around. Again, unless somebody else has some other type of question, please raise your hand and we can unmute you. Otherwise, we are all good to go.
I just wanted to point out, Brittany shared, and I don't know if everybody saw that they use Outlook for their newsletter. I didn't have the ability. I came straight from another meeting to add Brittany's newsletter as well that she used to do at Colorado Children's. But they use Outlook, and she can get some uh, insights from Outlook as well. Average read time, I think. It keeps
yeah, I think
scrolling.
Outlook calls it like Viva Insights or something you can get, and it just gives you average read times and like percentage of folks that open it. Just for what it's worth, our average newsletter read time was like 42 seconds. So yeah.
With that said, if people are looking at them for 30 seconds, what are those
I
first
mean,
bullet points you want people to see?
yeah, I
Their
mean,
tech
I think that's
expiration
pretty
date. I want them to
average.
know, hey, you are expiring this month.
I mean, it's our CPSTs were also all hospital based nurses and clinical assistants, so it was not something that, some of them really loved doing it, some of them were voluntold to do it, and it was a small part of their job. So I felt like the fact that they opened it was decent. And yeah, we would always like Mandy's put kind of like those like expirations at the top, new certifications, important stuff like that.
Brittany, I love that you shared how you actually get people to come to the events. Having a real life example, what do you say? Because I think that's something we trip up a lot, right? What are the
Yep.
words I'm supposed to use? How do I actually have that conversation or start that conversation? So that was actually really helpful. Good
Yeah,
tip.
I really like that too.
Did a presentation before at actually it was at Kim on how we like incentivized our hospital-based technicians, and we were able to like give them t-shirts and stuff when they recertified or when they came to events and things like that. So we couldn't pay them, but we tried to give them some swag when we could. So
Yeah, swag is not an allowable cost.
our state also had like keychains and stuff, so we could also give out those. Not that they were as exciting, but it was something.
All right, thank you, everyone. That is it for no other questions have came in, but you're always welcome to reach out to each of these ladies here. So if you have any other type of questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. Thank you so
Okay.
much for attending. And Kendra, if you can stop the recording.